Yo, 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 what's good, my peoples? Hey, thanks for joining me again. If you didn't know by now, this is Bobby Levon with yours truly. So today I have some really special lined up for y'all. You're gonna join me in the kitchen and I'm gonna show you how I make my seafood mac and cheese. But before we get started, do me a favor if you haven't already. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, and ding that bell. Today's recipe isn't inexpensive. It actually costs a pretty penny. And it's high fat. So I wouldn't recommend this for an everyday meal. I wouldn't recommend it for your whole meal. It's actually a good sampler and whatnot. But for today, the ingredients consist of 1.5 to 1 3/4 cup of elbow macaroni, 1 cup of whole milk or heavy cream, a 1/4 stick of cream cheese, a 1/3 cup of sour cream, a bit of flour for the roux, about 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. You're gonna need a bit of cleaned up shrimp, some crab claw meat, as well as some lump crab meat. You can also add in whatever seafood you prefer. You can put in scallops and any other things. I prefer the crab and the shrimp. Also, a very important detail in this recipe is grating your own cheese. And you can pick your own cheeses, whatever you prefer. For me today, I'm actually gonna have some cheddar cheese, some Asiago cheese, smoked Gouda, and that's about it for that. Also, you can use your own, pre-mixed seasonings to season your meat, but I prefer to mix my own seasonings. That way I can control the salt content. So what I have here is a blend of smoked paprika, chili powder, cayenne, black pepper, salt, garlic, as well as a little bit of sugar, just a little bit of sugar. So I'd say I put about half a teaspoon of each of those ingredients and mix it up. And that'll be solely for the meat. So the first thing that you want to do is actually season your meat. You want to chop up some of your deveined and cleaned shrimp into smaller portions, just because you don't want large chunks within this appetizer. And you want to chop that up, and you can add that as well as the different crabs that I have or whatever you're using into a bowl. can actually cover that with saran wrap and let it sit until you're ready to add it to the mac and cheese. You know, you want it to soak those seasonings in a little bit. So on a medium heat, you want to get your saucepan and add about 3 tablespoons of your unsalted butter to the pan. Also, in the meantime, you want to have another saucepan going with some boiling water. For this recipe, for the portion that I'm making, I used about 6 cups of water and a dash of salt. And you're going to let that get to a boil. And once it gets to a boil, that's when you'll add in your elbow macaroni. So as your butter starts to bubble up, you actually want to add a bit of your flour. And when you add the flour, be sure to whisk it so that it doesn't become clumpy. And as long as you constantly whisk it, you'll be good. And when you see that texture, you know that the flour is cooking and blending well with the unsalted butter. Like how that is well incorporated, you want to add in your cup of milk or heavy cream. And you may turn the fire up a bit higher just to get to that to a quick boil quicker. And in the meantime, you may want to start seasoning. You also want to check on your macaroni from time to time. And the trick with this is, because this is going to be baked afterwards, usually they call for this to be boiled al dente, which means that it's kind of transparent. But in this case, since we're going to be baking it, you don't want it to get fully al dente because it's going to go through another baking process, which means that essentially at the end of it, you're overcooking your macaroni. And you can see that it's not quite there yet, so some of them are there. And you want to continue to whisk this because it'll get thick and thick and thick, and you don't want it to burn. You want it to have a creamy texture. And as you can see, it's slowly starting to boil up. So now is when I'll add my cream cheese. I'm also going to add my sour cream. You want to whisk till that sour cream and cream cheese is fully incorporated and is fluid instead of chunky and blocky. And once that starts bubbling up, you want to add more cheese, the rest of the cheeses that you chose. So for me, I added about 1/3 cup of Parmesan, as well as these 3 different cheeses. So this is Asiago, Cheddar, and smoked Gouda. Be sure to save some of your cheese for the topping when you actually brown the macaroni. And at this point, you can put your heat down on low. So with that on a low heat, you can go ahead and whisk from time to time until you're ready to incorporate it and mix it. In the meantime, you may want to check on your macaroni. And as we can see right here, it's really close to al dente. And I'll bring a piece close to you. So now, you want to add your strained macaroni. Do not wash your macaroni into a bowl. You also want to add your cheesy mixture. And you want to mix that well. So be sure to preheat your oven to about 350, and while that's preheating, you can actually prep whatever your baking container. So In this case, I'm using a cast iron skillet. Okay, so whatever your baking container is, you want to coat the bottom with either cooking spray or you can smear it with some butter. But this ensures that it's not going to stick too much to the pan or the glass container that you're actually baking in. And what you want to do is you actually want to kind of layer this mixture of macaroni as well as some of your seasoned seafood from earlier. And you want to follow up with some more of your shredded cheese. I prefer to use the cheddar cheese. And you want to kind of just do so until you fill up your container, your baking pan or cast iron skillet. In my case. Lastly, you want to coat the top with a final layer of cheese that is going to be melting and bubbly once it comes out of the oven. So now that your oven is preheated to 350 degrees, it's safe to say you can add your cheesy Mackin's cheese to the bottom tray of your oven. All right, so after about 30 minutes in the oven and letting that top get all melty, cheesy, and brown, you can take it out. And voila.